When writing a thesis or dissertation, students often get confused between theory and theoretical framework. Although the two are closely connected, they play very different roles in research. What is a theory? A theory is a set of ideas or principles that explains, predicts, or helps us understand a particular topic, event, or situation. In other words, a theory provides clear explanations about why things happen and how different factors are related. Theories are based on research and evidence and are tested over time to see if they accurately describe reality. In thesis or dissertation writing, a theory has a very important role. It gives your research a solid foundation. It helps you connect your research problem to current knowledge and shows your readers that your study is based on established principles. For example, if your research topic focuses on how different management styles affect employee motivation in a team, you could use transformational leadership theory. This theory explains that leaders who inspire, support, and challenge their employees tend to improve motivation and performance. It provides key concepts like inspiration, support, vision, and encouragement, and predicts that teams with leaders using these behaviors will perform better. In this example, the theory is not something you are creating. It already exists and has been tested in many studies. Your job in a thesis is to apply this theory to your specific research problem. By doing this, you are using the theory to guide your study. Explain your results, and place your work within the broader knowledge of the field. What is a theoretical framework? A theoretical framework is the structure you create around your research problem to show how and why a particular theory is applied in your study. It goes beyond just choosing a theory. It explains how the theory will guide your research from start to finish. In a thesis or dissertation, the theoretical framework is critical because it connects your research problem, your questions, your methods, and your analysis in a clear, logical way. In research, the theoretical framework helps you define the focus of your study. It identifies the key concepts, variables, and relationships you will investigate. For example, if your study examines how leadership style affects employee engagement, your framework will define what is meant by leadership style, what is meant by employee engagement, which aspects of leadership you will measure, such as support, communication, recognition, which aspects of engagement you will measure, such as commitment, participation, motivation. Guide your research design. It informs whether you will use surveys, interviews, experiments, or other methods. Research design includes decisions such as, will your study be quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method? Will you collect data at one point in time or over a longer period? Will you compare different groups? For example, if your chosen theory predicts a relationship between two variables, you may design a quantitative study using surveys to measure those variables. If the theory focuses on experiences and meanings, you may choose interviews to explore participants' views in depth. Direct your data collection and analysis. It shows what information is important, how it should be measured, and how to interpret it. For example, what data you need, how to measure your variables, which tools or instruments to use, how to analyze the results. For example, if your framework includes employee motivation as a variable, you must decide, how will motivation be measured? Survey scale, performance scores, interviews, what indicators show high or low motivation? How will you test relationships between leadership style and motivation? Justify your choices. It explains why you selected a particular theory and why other theories or approaches were not chosen. You must explain why your chosen theory fits your research problem, why alternative theories are less suitable, what strengths your selected theory offers. For example, if you choose transformational leadership theory, you should explain why it is more appropriate for studying employee engagement than transactional leadership theory. Maybe your study focuses on inspiration and long-term motivation rather than reward-based systems. Connect your study to existing knowledge. It links your work to previous research and shows how your study adds new insights. It shows what previous researchers have found, where gaps exist in the literature, how your study builds on earlier work. For example, you may find that previous studies examined leadership and engagement in large organizations but not in small project teams. Your framework can highlight this gap and show how your research contributes new understanding, role and interpretation. The theoretical framework also explains in results section why certain results appeared and whether they support or challenge the theory. Watch the video above to learn how to create a theoretical framework. Additional differences. 1. Scope. A theory is broad. It explains patterns across many settings and situations. For example, goal-setting theory explains how specific and challenging goals improve performance in many environments such as factories, hospitals, or technology firms. A theoretical framework is narrow. It focuses only on the part of the theory that is relevant to your study. If your thesis examines how performance targets affect software developers in remote teams, your framework will focus only on goal clarity, task difficulty, performance output in remote settings. It does not cover every aspect of the full theory. 2. Purpose. The purpose of a theory is to explain and predict relationships between variables. The purpose of a theoretical framework is to structure your specific research project. It shows why you selected the theory, which variables you will test, how those variables are connected. In thesis writing, the framework ensures your research questions, hypotheses, and analysis are logically aligned. 3. Origin. A theory is developed over time by scholars through repeated testing and evidence. It is not created for one study. A theoretical framework is developed by you, the researcher. You select and organize relevant parts of one or more theories to fit your research problem. For example, you may combine goal-setting theory and feedback theory to study performance evaluation systems. That combination becomes your framework. 4. Application. A theory exists independently. It is valid even if your study does not use it. A theoretical framework exists only inside your thesis or dissertation. It guides research design, instrument development, data analysis strategy, interpretation of results. Without applying it, the theory remains general knowledge. 5. Specificity. A theory explains general principles. A theoretical framework defines independent variables, dependent variables, control variables, expected relationships. For example, in a study on employee retention, independent variable, job autonomy, dependent variable, turnover intention, control. Variables, age, experience level. Your framework clearly defines these relationships before data collection begins.